Hello and welcome. You are now looking at Aweber.com, and Aweber.com actually allows you to build and manage an email marketing list. Now, if you don't have an Aweber account, you'll come to this page at Aweber.com, and then what you'll need to do in order to get started is to put your name and email address into the box in order to start a 30-day free trial. Now, if you currently do not have an email marketing list, you will start at Aweber at $19 a month after the 30 days is over. However, if you're going to be moving your list into Aweber, then you are going to be priced according to the tier that you're going to be on, any place from $19 a month up to $149 a month, and then once your list size is beyond 25,000, then Aweber will determine that on an as needed basis. When you get started with Aweber, you are going to have to put in a credit card in order to get started because they're going to want to be able to bill you at the end of the period. And of course, you'll need to decide whether or not you're going to be billed monthly, quarterly, or annually. There are some price breaks if you do so quarterly and annually. Finally, they're going to have you agree to their service agreement. You are going to want to read that for your own information. So now once you've read through the service agreement, you can then sign up for Aweber. Aweber will give you a login and password, and then what you'll need to do is to put that login and password in order to log in. Once you are logged in, you will then be ready to start creating lists for your online business. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Hello and welcome. Now in this video, we're going to start the process by creating a list. And what you'll do is you will go inside of your Aweber dashboard. You will go to click the link that says Manage Lists. And what you'll see here is you'll see a green button that says Create a List, and you will go and click that button. Now in most cases, Aweber will pre-fill information in here, but you can actually change this information. So if you are going to be operating under a specific brand, you can go ahead and write that brand in here. So let's go ahead and do that now, as well as the company website. Now Aweber requires that you put a return address in your emails. They will pre-populate that information based on what's in your billing. Now, if you want to use a different address, you'll need to click this button and then you'll need to change the information. Once you do that, you will then write that address in and then you will save the information. So Aweber is going to ask you what sender name and email address that you want to use. And in general, what you're going to do is you're going to write in a sender name. And when you write in the sender email, you want to avoid using emails like Hotmail or Gmail or Yahoo. You want to use a server address email or an email address that you created with your domain name. Now, another thing that you'll want to do that will enhance your deliverability is you want to make sure that this sender email is not something like admin or support. You don't want to use generic names. If possible, you want to use a proper name. There is going to be another step based on the email address that you're going to put here, specifically if you're going to be using an email that you have control of through your domain name. But now, once you have all of the information in, the address you're going to be using, as well as the name and sender name, you can go ahead and click Next Step. Aweber will require you to give your list a name, but typically your customer will not see the name of this list or this explanation unless they choose to unsubscribe. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to describe the list and then give it a name, and we're going to keep it brief. As you can see here, you can only use 400 characters. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so once you've done that, you are going to then click Next Step. Now, Aweber has certain pre-approved subject lines, and you can use any of these subject lines that you feel is going to be most appropriate. Now, they will allow you to request approval for a custom subject line. Now, once you actually write the subject line in, Aweber will take time to approve it. In the meanwhile, what they'll use is they'll use one of the default subject lines that are at the top when you first sign in. So we're going to go ahead and click cancel so that we can see these back, and we're just going to choose the first one. Now we can also make changes to the confirmation, and so what we can do is we can then make sure that this message or this part of the message says what we want it to say. Now we want to keep this part brief. We don't want to make this a long drawn out paragraph. We want it to be brief so that it spells out exactly what your client is going to be getting when they sign up for your email list. In fact, you'll notice here that this says receive email from manage your list with Aweber. We might want to restate that to be a little more natural. Okay, but again, we don't make too many changes and we don't make that very long. We can also insert personalization. So in other words, one of the things that we can do is we can actually add in information that will personalize based on the information that is collected. So when your client actually comes and they sign up for your list and they use their first name, we can actually customize that information so that it says their first name and then they'll see the message. So all we would do here is we would click one of these buttons, and this will actually personalize the message so that it will say the person's first name and then give them the actual message. And this can sometimes help you with issues of deliverability. But again, that's optional. You don't have to do anything with this information. In fact, you can decide to delete out the information, click the edit button. You'll notice that that personalization is no longer in this space. We can actually edit the signature, and we can put in here a salutation or title. And then once we've done, then all we'll need to do is then we'll need to click this approve message button, and then we will then be creating our list. Now, the only thing that really needs to be confirmed will be this subject line if you choose to change it. So we are actually approving the message and then creating the list. And once you've created the list, you'll notice here at the top that Aweber will be working on that particular list, and all of the menu fields that we'll be working with will apply to the things that are going to be associated with this one list. If we want to change the list that all of these menus are going to be associated with, all you have to do is use this drop down arrow, and then you can choose the list that you actually want. Okay, so we have now created the first list, and we will now move on to some of the menu items. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now that you have created a list, you can now import users from another autoresponder into Aweber, so that if you have previously had an autoresponder account with another company, you can take those same leads and bring them into your Aweber list. So let's take a look at how to do that. Now, even though every autoresponder company is different, we are going to take a look at GetResponse, and we're going to take contacts from GetResponse and we're going to move them into Aweber. And the way that you do this in GetResponse is you'll go to the contacts area. You will then click search contacts. You'll then click view all contacts. You'll then click the specific list, and then you'll click search. That will then narrow down all of the contacts that you're going to move into a file and then move into Aweber. So once you have this list inside of GetResponse, you'll click the actions, and then you'll click export. You'll then write a file name, and then you'll click the export button. Once you've done that, GetResponse will give you the opportunity to then click a download button to get your file. Now that your list has been moved, you can now go back to the Aweber dashboard. What we're going to do is we're going to import that list in the CSV file into the list that we have just created inside of Aweber. We can do that by going to the subscriber area, and then we're going to go and click add subscribers. We're going to take a look at this button that says import more than 10 subscribers. We're then going to click this button and then grab the file that we created from Get Response. Aweber will bring you to this screen, and you'll be asked whether or not you want to import subscribers from a file or into your subscribers manually. Typically, what you're going to do, if you're going to be bringing people over from another autoresponder and you have a fairly big file, you can then click to browse and then go and grab the file from your hard drive. Now, the most important thing is that you match up the name and email address fields. And then what you'll do is you will then move to the next screen inside of Aweber. You do that by clicking the next button at the bottom of the page. Now, Aweber is going to want to know how you brought the list over. So in this particular case, you're going to say yes, you brought it over from another email provider. You're going to choose the email provider here. Once you do that, then what you're going to do is you're going to click this button that says they signed up with you, or you'll choose the appropriate section. So in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and write in the explanation, and then we're going to click Next. Now, Aweber will ask if you want to have a follow-up message sent or if you don't want to have one sent. Now, in this particular case, we're not going to have one sent, but you can opt to have one sent if that is what you want to do with these subscribers. We're going to click No, and then we're going to click Next. Now, you can decide whether or not you want your subscribers to opt in again, or you can decide not to. In this particular case, we're going to say no, and then we're going to click Next. Now, what you can do in this case is you can actually have these subscribers tagged, and this is an identifier inside of Aweber. You'd be able to reuse this designation in other cases. So in this particular case, we're going to write in affiliate. And then we're going to click Finish Import. Okay, so once you have done this, then it's going to take some time for Aweber to actually go through the process of looking at your list to see if it is acceptable for them to bring it into your list. You can always check your history by going to this Import History page, and we can take a look here. Now, in some cases, Aweber will tell you right away if you've had subscribers added and then how many were actually not added. They'll actually give you a breakdown here in this link. Okay, so then you'll have a number of email subscribers that have been added to your list, and you can then start to market to them using Aweber. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. We are now going to work with the settings on our Aweber list that we just created. And so in order to do that, we're going to go to the List Options drop-down menu, and then we're going to click List Settings. And you'll recognize some of these settings from a previous tutorial. Now you'll notice here that we have the list name, and then we have a unique list ID from Aweber. Now, anytime that we have to interact with an API or some kind of system that requires our Aweber information, we will use this Aweber unique ID. So one of the things you can do is you can actually put this in a place where you're going to remember it, or you can always come back to your Aweber list options in order to get this unique list ID. Now, the other thing you're going to notice is that all of your information, including your contact address, is going to be here in your list options. Now, the reason that that's important is because it is going to appear inside of all of your autoresponder emails. Let's take a look. So we are now inside of Gmail, and what you're going to notice is that at the bottom of this Aweber email, you'll see the unsubscribe link, you'll see the change subscriber options, but you'll also see an address. And this address is going to match the address that you have inside of your Aweber settings. So this is where that information is going to appear inside of every email that your client actually gets. You're going to notice that there is an area that says notifications. And this is a way for you to get a notification every time somebody is actually subscribed to this particular list. So if you want to write in a contact email address that will tell you you have a new lead you can actually do that. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and write in an email address so that we'll get notification every time someone signs up. Okay, so now we've added that notification here inside of Aweber. So let's see what that's actually going to look like when an email actually comes. To test this, we're actually going to go to the Add a Subscriber area, and we're going to actually put in an email that we are going to be able to see right away. And typically you can see emails right away inside of Gmail. This is actually a good way of being able to test something in your list. You typically want to subscribe to all of your lists so that you will be able to see what your client is actually getting. So we're going to write an email address in here so that we can tell what our clients are going to see. Okay, so now we have an email address in. We're going to click Add Subscriber. Now that subscriber has been added to our Aweber list, we can now go to our email address. Okay, so now we're going to confirm our subscription just as our client would. You'll see what the email is actually going to look like. And then we're going to click this link. Okay, our subscription has now been confirmed. We are now part of our Aweber list. So now let's check Aweber to make sure that we have a new subscriber. And we can do that by going to Manage Subscribers. And we now see that there is a subscriber in our Aweber system. So now what we can do is we can check our notifications to make sure that if there is a new subscriber to this list that we would have actually received a notification. And we can actually see that we have notification from Aweber. So all we need to do now is we need to check this email. And we'll notice now that we have a new email that was added to our list. Aweber also tells us the source. And this is how you can actually monitor your leads as they are actually coming in. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now in this video, we're going to pick it up from the basic settings, and we're going to now go to this link that says personalize your list. Now you'll recognize the company branding that we did when we set up the list. You'll recognize the website URL. Now we didn't write an email signature in here. Now let's go ahead and write in an email signature as well as to upload an image into the logo area. So now that we have our branding in place, what we can now do is we can now start to customize our broadcast archive. We can do that by first connecting with Twitter. And what this button is going to do is it's going to allow us to connect to Twitter so that our Twitter followers will actually get a copy of our broadcast as we send it out. So all we have to do is click this Connect with Twitter button, and it will integrate with the Twitter account that we currently have open. Now, if you are already logged into Twitter, all you'll have to do is click this Authorize app. If you are not currently logged into Twitter, you will need to connect to your Twitter account in order to give access to Aweber so that it can connect with the app. So we are now going to go ahead and click this Authorize App button. And so now our Twitter account is now connected to our broadcast archive. We can do the same thing using Facebook. And you'll see a button here that will allow you to click and then connect to Facebook, where you'll have access to all of your pages to actually publish your emails to your Facebook account. So when you click this button, it will connect to Facebook. What you're going to notice is that you will have access to all of the pages where you are an admin. Now, this will only work if you are already logged in to Facebook. And obviously, if you're not logged into Facebook, when you click that connect button, you'll need to log in. Once Aweber connects to your Facebook account, it'll pull in all of the pages where you are an admin. If you will not be using your broadcast on those pages, you can actually go in and you can X them out. So in this case, that's what we're going to do. We're going to X out all but one page that we'll be using for our email broadcasts. But once you have that connection, you're going to want to make it your default Facebook post. So what will then happen is that you will have the opportunity inside of all of your broadcasts to post them automatically to this Facebook page. Now, there are a couple of other settings that we'll want to take a look at for our broadcast archive. Now, what we can do in our broadcast archive is we can actually include some place where someone can sign up, as well as our Twitter link. But before we do that, let's take a look where this link says preview your archive, and then we can get a better sense of what a broadcast archive actually is and how you can use it. And you'll see here that the email broadcast archive is a page that's hosted by Aweber that will have a number of your broadcast emails. And you will be able to determine which of your broadcast emails actually go into this broadcast archive, and you'll actually see that in a later video. But this broadcast archive will allow others who are not part of your email marketing list to read your content and then to be able to sign up for your email. They'll also be able to follow you on social media and to subscribe to you by RSS. Now, the last thing we're going to discuss in this video is your being able to have a look at what your unsubscribe page is going to look like. And this is what your clients will see when they decide to click the unsubscribe link in your email. You'll be able to see what it looks like based on your branding. So again, now you can see where your client will actually see your list name and your description. So keeping this in mind, you can write your description accordingly, knowing that someone will actually see it when they get ready to unsubscribe. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.